Hey, I'm Ced Hawkins. Welcome to the CedTalks Podcast. My guest today is a student at Salisbury University, an old friend of mine, and I believe that he's going to contribute some really good things to the podcast today. Right now, here is Joseph Rothbaum. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ced. How you doing today?
Good, bro. How you been as of late, man? Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been nice out. I mean, school's done for the semester, so I've just been chilling and working during the summer. I can't complain.
Absolutely, man. Where you working at right now?
So I'm working at the Hampton Inn in Salisbury.
Gotcha.
It's a hotel, and I'm literally just working at the front desk, and it's besides some, aggravated guests, it's pretty easy.
I bet it is, too. You're inside, nice air conditioning and all that. I bet it pays good, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit above minimum wage. I can't complain.
Right, exactly. When I was practicing the intro and I said, Joe, welcome to the show, I said, hey, that joint rhymes. Like I was on to something there. Yeah, but shifting gears from that, man, when the pandemic first started in March of last year, how did that affect you mentally? Because a lot of people, they have different opinions with the pandemic. So how did it affect you?
So I would say that it had different sides to it. So we had to move out of our apartment because we were on campus living. So basically we had to do the rest of our semester online. And I think it's kind of just gets you in a weird mental state where you really don't have to leave your house. You really don't have to leave your bed if you want for class. So, you're just kind of inside all day. And it's a weird feeling until, you might not step out of the house for a day. And then you're like, this is how my school experience and stuff. So it was just weird, but I got used to it, and thank God we can go back to normal somewhat soon.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I was at CSM, so I was technically home anyway, so it didn't affect me as much, but I fell into the category of people who thought that this was going to be over with within a month or two, but that definitely was not the case, and it just kind of ruined a lot of things that I had in mind with graduation, getting my associates and everything, trying to go on campus to Bowie State in the fall, so it messed a lot of things up, but like you said earlier, I'm kind of glad life is getting back to normal and we can get back to the way things used to be.
Exactly, because it's just a way different experience when you're going to class actually on campus. I feel like I learn more because I'm there, so I'm going to dedicate my time more wisely.
Yeah, what was Salisbury's setup this past year? Were you guys on campus or was everything remote online?
So Salisbury was a little different because our COVID numbers were always really low. I think at one time, when everyone else was shut down, our COVID numbers were less than 5%, and we tested every week. So they were having us do hybrid classes where the semester after the pandemic first hit, they did hybrid classes where some classes you could go once a week in person, or you could just choose to do Zoom. So that's what I was doing, those hybrids. And then eventually I just stopped going to class because no one would come. So the teacher was basically catering the class to the online people anyways. So I felt like I was learning the same way, even when I was in person. But luckily, I think we are going to go to all on-campus classes this next semester.
Got you. Yeah, with Bowie, our numbers were always kind of high, so campus was shut down for the entire school year, which I think the only thing that was really frustrating was if I needed to get in touch with someone from the financial aid office or somebody from the academic advising center. I always had to do it online. I would call the office and nobody would be in the office. Everybody would be at home. So that was definitely frustrating not getting to meet with them face to face and even the people in my class because half the time people's cameras was turned off and I never really saw anybody or connected with people like that. So I'm hoping that in the fall when Bowie's campus opens back up halfway, because they'll give people that option to go online because online was a success at our school. So it's going to be 50-50, but I'm looking to get back on campus a little bit and mingle with people. Yeah,
I know what you mean, especially when you you have a major and then you start to see familiar faces in your classes. And now that I'm getting, into my senior year, I feel like I haven't even met some of the kids I'll probably have class with anyways these semesters left because it gets more specific. So it's just weird.
Right, it really is. It's crazy to think that we're coming into our senior year of college. It just seems like yesterday we graduated.
I know, it flew by.
Exactly. During your time in quarantine around 2020, what were some of the things that really kept you grounded, kept you really mentally sane during that time period when you were in the house?
So one of the things I decided to do is I started to work on the weekends. because it's not like I was going to be doing anything on the weekends anyways. So just getting out of the house, spending like 20 hours or whatever, 15 to 20 hours on the weekend, just out of the house, busy, keeping your mind off things. I think that really helped, because when you're just sitting inside, it's like you're just contemplating like, why, when's this going to end, or whatever, stuff like that.
Exactly.
It's just good to get out and get active.
Yeah, this podcast was my saving grace when it came to the pandemic, because I got the chance to sit down and talk with people for like a little over an hour, or sometimes close to that, catching up with people who I went to school with and just having a general conversation with. I looked at the pandemic and said, if we weren't in that pandemic, that probably wouldn't have happened. I probably would have just been going about my daily life, going to work, going to class, and just not catching up with anybody. So the fact that I was able to create this and then catch up with people and create content for people to listen to, that's what helped me get through those tough days.
Yeah, and it's great that you're able to pursue your interests so much, because, a lot of people had a lot of free time now that this pandemic shut everything down, basically.
I know, like a lot of people found new hobbies and new skills that they never really tapped into beforehand. So did you have that similar experience also, where you took up new hobbies?
No, I still kind of stuck to my old stuff. I was kind of enjoying saving money being at home, not going to lie, but I was just, I just try to work as much as possible. I feel like when I'm at work, I'm just thinking about stuff I have to do and not what's going on in life and stuff like that. So it keeps your mind distracted.
Got you. I feel you. What kind of advice would you have to people that are still, going through it mentally? Because we are still in the pandemic. Either way, stuff is still not as safe. So what kind of advice would you give to someone that's struggling?
I would just say, like, it sounds really weird, but I found that, like, working out, like, it doesn't, it doesn't have to be a full-blown workout, but just, like, making your body tired and just, having to recover it really helps with my, like, mental, like, if I'm, like, anxious or something like that, and I'll just work out, I feel, like, relieved, and I feel like it's a healthy coping with it, too. So I would just say, like, get active, get out of the house. It's no help to you if you're just inside the whole time. Get some fresh air, get some sunlight, and, just try and be with people, try and be social again. I know, because quarantine, I had to be in quarantine at one point. I didn't leave my house for 2 weeks, and, luckily I had my roommates, but even then I barely talked to them, and you just kind of felt, like, alone almost.
Yeah, no, I feel you with the exercise and working out. With me, I like to take walks in the morning. I'll just do like a 30-minute walk, 45-minute walk. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, when I get off from work, I'll go on a 2-3 mile run. By the time I'm finished, man, my body is worn out. But everything that's on my mind or that's clouding my mind that really shouldn't be there, that's all gone, because I've made my body active and I'm working towards an active goal. So it's like when you're doing that, it definitely takes your mind off of it. You're getting all the endorphins in your brain. You're releasing them, and you just feel good at the end of the day. So exercise is definitely something that I'm glad you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was your childhood like growing up as a kid in Calvert County? Talk to me about that.
I had a really good childhood. Blessed to have, like, good parents and whatnot. I did a lot of sports growing up. So, I would say most weekends, at least one day, I was going to another state for soccer or doing some kind of soccer stuff. So I really consumed most of my childhood. But I'm grateful for it because I got to meet a lot of people and got to go to a lot of places. So it was interesting.
Yeah, man. What were some of the morals and values your parents instilled in you growing up? Because I always remembered you in school as a very driven person when it came to your academics and stuff. So what were some of the things they taught you?
My dad always just kind of was like, you got to be respectful, number one. It's earned both ways, respect, and that he goes, academics are the most important thing. It doesn't matter, what you really want to do. You just have to have a drive for it and really care about the work you do, because at the end of the day, my job as a student was just to be a student. So he goes, that's your top priority, and then, obviously family first and stuff like that. But in school, he definitely was very much, and still is while I'm in college, is pressing me and, get good grades. You're there for a reason. Make sure you get your job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was something that I came up with also, not only respect, but giving it your all when it comes to your academics or even your career in general. Because nobody's going to do it for you, and nothing is going to be ever handed to you. So you have to do that work on your own. You have to solidify yourself till you get to that point where, you do have a little bit of comfortability with your job, but it never stops. You always got to grind. It's just like you can never really stop. You never stop until it's all over with and you can shift your attention onto something different.
Exactly.
Yeah. When it came to sports, what kind of sports did you do as a kid? Because I know you said soccer. Did you do anything else?
So when I was growing up, before, you could take sports really seriously for a little kid, I was doing basketball, soccer, and then I tried baseball, but I just never really got into it. But I stopped playing basketball probably around 13 or 14 because I just had to focus on soccer. So really, I would say for the competitive side of my sports career, it was just all on soccer. But I loved playing hockey or football and all that good stuff just with some friends in the yard or on a basketball court. Or we used to play roller hockey on tennis courts and just take the nets off. Right.
Do you still play soccer to this day? I know you don't play soccer for Salisbury, but is that something you do in your spare time?
I do sometimes. Matt LaBeal also comes here now. He's actually about to be my next door neighbor. So me and him are going to be hitting the fields because right behind our house, Jay and Bennett High School. So we just go there and shoot on the field. We do have intramural sports. I think those are returning this next semester. So, last time we did that for soccer was, I think my sophomore year. So hopefully that gets back to it so I can start playing some soccer again.
Got you. That's what's up. What made you not choose to play soccer in college? Was it just because you wanted to focus on your academics more?
Yeah, I've played against really good kids, so I realized early that soccer was not going to be something that I'm going to go very far, if not to college with. I just didn't want to dedicate enough time to where I could play collegiate level because I just knew that I just want to focus on my academics. Soccer would just be something that keeps me in shape, more or less. And also, my brother was looking at it because they wanted him to play, but I'd have to drop some of the classes I'm taking. At the end of the day, I'm not graduating here soccer first. I'm coming here for my degree. So I just wanted to make sure I could have as much time as I could for my studies and then be able to enjoy my downtime. You know what I mean? Not going to practice every day and stuff like that. Right. Because I've been doing that for a long time. So you just get, it's nice to have your own time.
Right. Yeah. I had Easton Suppressi on the show back in December, and he mentioned something similar where he didn't want to play hockey at his school just because he really wanted to prioritize his academics more and not have to continue to juggle and balance between sports and academics. So that's something that I can definitely understand because that was always my struggle in high school where I always wanted to do track, but I knew that my grades came first and I didn't really think I'd do great at juggling both. So I just chose my academics and I still do my running on the side when I want to just to keep in shape. But it's always a balance when it comes to being a student in college. And it's just about what you would rather prioritize more.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's I'm just here to get good grades, and soccer is just some downtime I can do.
Yeah, exactly. When you were playing soccer in high school, what were some of the things that really mentally prepared you for a game, got your body and your mind all pumped up?
Well, one of the things for high school soccer we had was our coaches were really well. Brian Martin was kind of like our motivator, Coach Martin. And he was just, really intense before the games, gets you locked in. And then when I was playing club, it was just kind of it was very serious because most of the time we're traveling. So we're we've traveled this far. Let's not waste our time here. Let's get to it. So that was kind of more a serious one. But for high school, it would definitely be our coaches.
Got you. That's what's up. That stuff really interests me, seeing how players psych themselves up and they get their bodies and their minds ready. It's almost like when you're on the field and that adrenaline kicks in, you're in a whole different ball game, whole different zone. That's something I've always wanted, but hey, I don't know. It'll come one day. It's never too late for me to, let's say, try out for a sport and whatnot, even though I'm deep in my college career.
I found even in other stuff, it doesn't even have to be a sport. Sometimes you just get mentally locked in. You just focus on the task, and you don't even realize how zoned in you are until you're doing it, and you're just fluid with it, whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah. Besides soccer, what are some other hobbies that you like to do, or is it just mainly soccer that's your focus?
So at school, like, I don't really play too much soccer. We did set up a basketball hoop, so we're outside playing basketball probably every day. That's probably one of my favorite sports to play, just because you don't need that many people, you don't need that much space. You just need a hoop and a ball, and I find basketball is just, all it is repetition over and over. And I just go out there sometimes and just shoot around by myself. It's calming, and I'm getting exercise, breaking the sweat. So that's probably the number one sport I play the most now.
Got you. Yeah, I'm more of like a jogging, running type of person, but besides that, I like to read books here and there, and I took up sketching recently also, so I've been sketching a few things myself, so always willing to try out different things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
You gotta keep your mind open.
Yeah, I work at a daycare, and we started playing soccer on the field, I want to say, last year, and I was pretty good, not gonna lie. I was kicking the ball and stuff like that. I was worried somebody was gonna kick me in the shin or something, I'd break my leg or something. But I was doing good, bro. Like, hey, you never know. One day I gotta slide by Salisbury one day.
Yes, sir. We can hop onto those fields.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I know Gotham, him and we've been close for a while now. I've been trying to get him to do a soccer game, but he's busy with college still, so one day.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your time, here at Calvert County within the school system. How was that like for you, your school life?
I thought it was pretty good. It's a very, very relaxed county to grow up in, or it's not like a bad area at all, almost the complete opposite. And our schools I thought were pretty good. I just kind of coasted through high school a little bit. I mean, studied for AP classes, but, I think I like college obviously a lot better, especially I think it's more challenging for me. And I always felt like in high school you had to take classes that had no interest in me. So it was just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll take it, even though it's not going to help me in the future and stuff like that. So I'm glad that now that, you're going for a specific degree, not just like graduating high school, I can actually take stuff that interests me and will help me in the future.
Yeah, I get that. I get that frustration, especially with high school and even in the beginning of college when you're taking those prerequisite classes just to figure out what you want to do, or you have to pass these classes just to get to the main thing that you want to take. It was definitely frustrating. Like, I would take accounting, let's say, or financial literacy in high school, and at the time, I didn't think I really needed it, so I didn't really give it my all. I kind of did need it because I needed to know how to save money versus taking, art class. Like, I'm not an art major. I don't really want to be sitting here and doing this, but you have to do it. But that's the school system. Hopefully it'll change one day. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But yeah, college definitely did challenge me once I graduated Huntingtown. Like, it made me more motivated to be the best student.
Exactly. I felt like, you pay a lot of money for this stuff, and it's way more important to me because it's not just a piece of paper. It's 4 years of hard work for something, so it really motivates you. Right,
exactly. During your time at Huntingtown, do you have any mentors, any teachers that stick out that really helped you and shaped you along the way before you got to college?
I would say the top two teachers at Huntingtown would probably be Mr. James, Rob James, and then Miss Hetzline, just because they were just two of the most supportive teachers I've ever had. I've still gone back a couple of times and visited with them, sat down and talked to them for a while. They were just, always in your corner and always looking to do something for you. And they were just kind of like a rock in the building for a lot of kids, actually, because, just that support from teachers is just so nice to have, whether it be a room you can eat lunch in or someone who can help you find tutoring, all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Miss Hetzline was definitely someone that really challenged me as a student, because taking her class, that was my first AP class, so I didn't really know what I was getting into. It was definitely challenging, but she always made that time out to help me out, and she's always been one of my biggest supporters even today. Like, I had her on the podcast a while back, so definitely appreciate her.
Exactly.
Yep. What made you choose Salisbury as your school choice versus going to a school outside of Maryland?
So definitely number one reason for not going outside of Maryland is definitely the money. You look at some of these schools and you're paying $60K a year for your tuition and stuff. Salisbury is definitely cheaper, but they're also, it's a fun school and their business program is really good. So my brother went there and then I visited there, and I've actually used to visit here for soccer camps, so I knew what the campus looked like. And I knew that they had good food at their dining hall, too, so it wasn't going to be awful freshman year. So I just decided to just come here. It was far enough away from home where, you know, I can't just make weekend trips home all the time. And it wasn't too far where it's going to be like a 7-hour drive back.
Right. So you're a business major. That's your major.
Yep, I'm a finance and marketing major.
Got you. What made you want to get into that and choose that?
I've always enjoyed numbers. Like, even though I was taking calculus in high school, I really liked it. But I never got into, like, engineering and stuff because our science department for high school was just not that good. So it made me not want to take those classes because I knew I would be struggling in them to learn and teach it myself. And then when I got here, I just knew, you know, business is something that's always going to need someone with finance or accounting or whatnot. And it's interesting for the marketing aspect because it's changing as it is, you know, compared to 20 years ago. Marketing pops up on everything. I'm sure we'll talk about something and I'll get an ad on my phone 20 minutes later. So it's kind of like the psychology of business. And I found that really interesting too.
Yeah. Would you see yourself partnering with anybody and starting up a business?
Probably not. I think I don't have enough experience yet for that stuff because it is, you know, a lot of aspects and different things that I'm not aware of that I'm sure go into businesses. But I would definitely like to just go into not too large of a company, but a big business and get that insightful experience so I can maybe start one in the future if I ever have a great idea that pops into the head.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's cool that people have that gift where they're just good with numbers and they're just good when looking at the analytics and stuff like that. You know, I'm not a math major by any means, terrible at math, but I think it's interesting that people have those gifts where they can look at numbers and they're able to just solve something like, bam, just like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple kids and they're just working through stuff. I'm like, oh, you're pretty quick at this.
Yeah, exactly. What was your first year at Salisbury like for you? Did you have any challenges, anything that really stuck out to you that was different from high school?
I would say just getting the biggest challenge first semester is probably just getting in the flow of everything, finding where all your classes are on campus, making, you know, you start to figure out, all right, how long is it going to take me to get to my next class? Can I do anything in between that? I was fortunate that my brother was a junior when I was a freshman, so he knew all the ropes, knew all the places, and he had friends who were seniors. So freshman year, I would be walking over to his friend's house and hang out with them probably almost every day. And because I figured out what time I would need allotted for my classes, and you just get into that schedule, and then, you know, I'm good at finding what I can do on my free time.
Right. I can relate to that also when I started at CSM because I didn't really know much about anything, to be honest with you. And it's a community college, but it's still college at the end of the day. So even though there were things that I didn't know, I had friends who were just getting ready to graduate, or I had cousins who had been there for about a year or two. So they helped show me the ropes, showed me what to do and everything. And that made the transition really easier also. So it's definitely cool to have that one person or multiple people to help you along the way. Exactly.
And it's just like, you know, you kind of get in training while you're there. You don't have to figure everything else out for yourself.
Right.
But it was also great. I just feel, I felt bad for the freshmen that were coming in during the pandemic because one of the best things about freshman year was all the people you meet. Because all the people I met in my dorm, I still hang out with I'm going into my senior year and I'm still hanging out with these people. So I think meeting great people at the start of your college career just sets you up for having a good group of friends to go forward with.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you with that. Like a lot of the people who are graduating, whether it's high school or college, you know, last year or even this year, like they kind of just missed out. They didn't really get that experience like that. And like you said, with the college freshmen, you know, this is a time for them where they can put themselves out there, meet new people and just experience all of these really cool events. And they didn't really get the chance to do that due to the constraints of the pandemic. Even with me as a transfer student at Bowie, I didn't get that experience also going to football games, homecomings, parties and all that stuff. Like I never really got those experiences that I normally would have, but I think I'll make up for that in due time. And so will the freshmen. They'll make up for that, you know, next year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Talk to me about your study habits. I'm always interested and curious to learn about people's study habits and how they do things when it comes to their work.
So I found early in high school that as much as I try not to, I always procrastinate everything. And I think just like that same habit kind of started to make me get more efficient at doing my work, which in turn made me, learn it better. It's definitely not a good thing to do if you don't have good time management skills. As I may procrastinate, but I do allow myself to get it done. So I find that for smaller stuff, I kind of put it off, and then a day before or the day of, I can usually knock stuff out. But if it's like a paper or studying for an exam, I try to give myself like a week in advance. Because I feel most things aren't too like crazy to do, so a week gives me enough time. And studying, I usually try to do at least 5 days in advance. It also just depends on the tests I'm doing. But I will say I'm not a great student when it comes to, preparing and studying and whatnot. I just kind of figured out how I could get the grade I want by doing the minimal work, and it's sometimes bit me in the butt. So this year I'm really going to have to, turn it around because of getting into my senior year. But previously, that's how I was doing all my studies.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I'm pretty sure every college student procrastinates. I don't know one college student that says, I never procrastinate. I procrastinate all the time. Like, sometimes it's to my advantage because, like, I can thrive under that pressure and I can produce some of my best work where, let's say I have a paper and I'm writing 3 paragraphs late at night and I get up early the next morning, do 2 more paragraphs and just submit the paper, and then, boom, I got a 3 to 5 page paper that I just finished. Or let's say I have an exam coming up and I didn't really study all that well previously, so I just study like the last 2 nights and I get a B on the exam, do better than I expected on it. But as you said, as we're coming up on senior year, I gotta get right with my studying habits.
Exactly, I feel that.
But Kahoot is my best friend, and Quizlet, I love Quizlet. I make my own,
Quizlet.
I make my own flashcards on Quizlet if I can't find them online, and I just study it wherever I'm at, and that helps me retain that knowledge better.
Yeah. I find that when I write stuff down, I learn it. So even though the professors will have PowerPoints up, I just write it down because I feel like the act of doing that makes me learn it better.
Yeah, I do everything like on my laptop or on my phone when it comes to like my studying and stuff. Because like to have it on paper, I don't know. I don't really retain that knowledge all too well doing that. But if it's like on my devices and I can go on it whenever, it just works for me that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But going back to that where, we were talking about freshman year of college, you had people helping you out. Now that you are about to be a senior, do you find yourself in that position where you're helping other freshmen out?
Yeah, so I didn't know a lot of kids from Calvert that came here, but kids like, Justin Luckett, he's a great kid, and he's been over a couple of times, and just, I'm like, I kind of treat it how I was a freshman. I was so grateful as a freshman to have like houses off campus I could go to and just hang out with, and felt very much included with my brother's friends. And my brother was very cool about me. He didn't mind me tagging along. And I just think it's something that younger kids definitely need to have. It's like somewhere they can just be and they don't have to look for stuff. And then we have younger kids, like sophomores. I have a couple friends or sophomores that would come over. Probably have some people over today, actually. And I don't mind hosting at all. And as long as these kids are respectful, I think it's good. I mean, it's nice to meet people. You know what I mean? I've met a lot of people at Salisbury, and that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't, my brother bringing me along to meet his friends, or whether it was older people I met that were just hanging out with me and stuff like that. So I think it's really valuable to just branch out and meet a lot of people, because you never know what connections you might get with someone.
Right. You're paying it forward, and that's a good thing. Hopefully with this podcast, I'm able to pay it forward, and people are able to learn from my story, learn from my experiences, or learn from your experiences or my other guests, and they can pick up on those traits and carry that and apply that to their lives. I think if you have that ability to be willing to pay it forward and not be so selfish and think of yourself so much, the world can be a better place because of it.
Exactly. It's got to be it doesn't have to be your own interest. Is that the only one you pursue?
Right, exactly. We talked about it earlier, just thinking about how fast like life has been since we've graduated high school. Since we've graduated in the last, I want to say it's been 3 years now. Do you feel like you've grown as an individual since you were a senior in high school?
I think college has made me a lot like more mature and more responsible, and just like the way, just like everything I do, I think I've just matured a lot more. I've met a lot more people here, and kind of broadens your horizons on like what ideas you think about and what interests you have. And I think it was very beneficial to me. I'm just grateful that I was able to do my freshman year, meet all those people, and not be affected by the pandemic until sophomore year. And then this year, now that we have our own house we're renting, it's just like I'm learning how to cook on my own all the time. I'm in Salisbury all summer, so I'm not home, and everything's just, I gotta go shopping myself, whatnot. And I think it's made me more of an adult per se. And then just really mentally, I feel like I've matured a lot since I've come to college.
Yeah, you are establishing yourself. And that's something that I've been doing, I think, the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, getting groceries for myself, getting clothes for myself, making sure my car is, updated and whatnot, making sure everything is working right. It's crazy. I was always fearful of how I'd fare out after high school, but I'd say I've been adjusting pretty fine, and I've grown and matured as a person since I've graduated. So we're only going up from here on out, only up.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. What goals do you have for yourself as we continue on through this year?
So I think my number one goal is to try and get a job out of college just right away. So I'm just going to have to work really hard. And, I just got to be better at being proactive about, tracking down internships, looking at every job opportunity I can. I think that's where I've been lacking, is because I was, a freshman or sophomore in college. I kind of really didn't think about it. I was like, oh, that's 2 years away. But time flies when you're having fun. And as a lot of people say, you don't even realize it's going by quickly until you look back at it. And I think that's the number one thing I need to improve on, and that goal, I just got to work towards it.
Yeah, I agree. It's something I got to do also, given the fact that I got to start looking for a job with benefits and whatnot, something that can give me some insurance. This is stuff that you don't really think about, like you said, when you're a freshman or a sophomore, even as a junior to an extent, because you're just having fun and you're just living the life. And once you realize that you're getting older and you realize these things that are really important in your adult life, it's like, got to start cracking down. So got to start thinking about the bigger picture. I'm not a kid anymore, but I know that it'll all work out. I'll have my job. You'll have your career. All my guests that I've had on, they'll have their future career that they want, and they'll do good things. So, like I said, we're only going up from here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And my last question to you, before I go ahead and let you go, is if you could offer a piece of advice to any future student going into college, what would you tell that individual?
I would tell them to have an open mind and to try and look at things from different perspectives. Like, I see a lot of people in college that just, they may not want to try something. They may not want to take a class or hang out with someone or something. And I just found that a lot of people just kind of have, and even I do for some things, you just have a set thought about something you haven't even, tried, or maybe you have one experience with. And, I've done a lot of different things in college that, whether it be like trying out for intramural sports or like intramural esports and all these different activities, I would just say try and go out and find as many things that you think you would have an interest in and just pursue them. Because while you're at college, it's honestly a great time. But after that, you're going to be working the rest of your life. So I would try to enjoy it. And maybe, you find stuff that you never thought you would like. Maybe you travel abroad and you go over to Spain and you realize you might want to travel to Europe, or just all these different things and opportunities that most colleges have, I would try to pursue. And I think I've done that to an extent, but definitely feel I could have done it more, whether it would be like I really wanted to study abroad, but, I just didn't plan accordingly, and the pandemic kind of hindered it. But I would just say get the most out of your college experience. That's the number one thing about it.
Right. I can relate to that, especially with being open to different things. If I hadn't have started this podcast and I was afraid to get it started and reach out to people, I wouldn't have made so many friendships and network connections with so many different people who can get me to different places, if I hadn't taken that chance with myself. So I definitely do relate to what you're saying, and I promote that message also. Don't be afraid to take risk. Even if you fail, you can just get back up and try it again. But if you don't take those risks, you never want to look back in life and say, oh, I wish I had done this or I wish I had done that. Better you jump at that opportunity and you take a chance on yourself.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, Joe, I want to thank you so much for your time again today. I appreciated catching up with you, and hopefully we'll keep in touch, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir. Definitely have to. And when I'm back in Calvert, I'll let you know, man.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man. Take care, bro.
Take care, bud.
Yup.
Peace.
Yup. All right, this wraps up the episode. Stay blessed and stay encouraged.